All right, I am back with a Destiny 2 video. Even we we got a Megaton bomb dropped us in the form of Frontiers information yesterday. Today is also the finale of the episodic story of Episode 1 Echoes, which began roughly 4 years ago at this point. This was very long. It was a very long, very long storyline because we did the whole 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off thing, which will change to 1 week on, 5 weeks off next season. Don't think that's going to go much better, but today we had the finale, which was the ninth week of story missions in quotes there. And so we got the finale of the story, and I don't like it. I have not really enjoyed the story this season. I think they did add, a meaningful amount of like physical content, I guess, in terms of the grand volume they did. They did the, patrol type, not really public event, but like patrol based mission with the different objectives and bosses. They did the speed run thing, which you never really have to do ever. And then they did 3 battlegrounds, most of which had significant new content added. I feel like when they add battlegrounds now, it's more of like a long-term play because they know that they're probably going to keep those around for whatever playlist or whatever nightfall in the future. We have seen I think all battlegrounds stick around, or almost all of them, and now with Frontier stuff, that is more relevant than ever because they, want more stuff to populate that playlist, and they don't want to just keep rotating stuff like that out when they can use it for other things. I think most of us has probably only run these new battlegrounds a handful of times because there's no real reason to keep doing them a million times at this point. But the other stuff, I don't know, you would do it as like a story requirement, and that was sort of it. Then, speaking of reusing stuff, Bungie was hyping up this big, exotic quest that is one of the biggest, quote unquote, they've ever done. This is Encore, which got us I don't even remember the name of it. I'm using it in this video, but the Void auto rifle thing, Chorus of One. Is that it? Okay, I think that's it. And it's a good gun. I like the gun. The exotic mission is fine, but the weird part is that we have now had doing the exotic mission as a quest step for the story 3 weeks in a row. Essentially, is the quest step for the story 3 weeks in a row. I was sort of rolling my eyes when it came up again as part of this week's quest, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll do this, and then maybe, we'll do the finale after that. But no, the Encore mission is the last thing to do. There is new dialogue in this about Maya Sundaresh's plan. There is, in the little, dead exo room, there is her rejecting the copy of Chioma Esi, her wife, even though it's like the quote real one. This whole season, the plot has been, Maya Sundaresh wants to take over the system with Radiolaria and make a new golden age, and she's trying to find a copy of her wife that thinks this is a good idea because the original version of her wife surely would, and we know that's not true. If you listen to any of the Veil lore, her wife was clearly terrified of what she was becoming by the end, and the point is that Maya is delusional, but again, I don't really think it's all that compelling given that it's kind of a foregone conclusion what's going to happen here. Back to the mission itself, this was a barely modified version of the normal Encore mission where there was a Colossus added in 2 different segments of it where they're like, hey, she's got some Cabal, and then they just throw this Colossus at you, which I only played on normal just to get this done quickly. Doesn't really do anything. There were a couple more Cyclops in the final thing. There's one at the start. I think there's another Colossus in there. Essentially, it's exactly the same. There's nothing meaningfully different here other than those little bits and pieces. And then if you're thinking this will lead to an actual boss battle against Maya Sundaresh, you would be mistaken. You simply kill the same boss you always kill, and then there is a cutscene where Maya Sundaresh paralyzes you and Ikora and Saint and makes you lay down your weapons, except Saint and Ikora break out of it for reasons, and then Saint throws a shield at her, and Ikora Void Nova bombs her, and then she like dissolves into Radioria. And that's it. It's just this cutscene. We don't do anything. There's no fight. Destiny is sort of really showing its limits more than ever lately, where in another game it would not be unheard of to, figure out a way for us to actually fight Maya Sundaresh in this, rather than doing week 3 of an exotic mission where we fight some unrelated Hydra boss and then Maya Sundaresh gets dissolved in a cutscene. There's just something missing here, narratively, coherently, like that. When you do the structure like this, I don't know too many people that aren't going to be like, well, that's it. We just did the exotic mission 3 times. There is some sort of epilogue after this. I stopped doing it because you have to go and find like an anomaly in Clovis Spray Exoscience, and that was hard to find. There's no marker. I asked on Twitter, and somebody told me it's like right near the entrance on the right. But once you get that, you get a little lecture from my Sundaresh, and then she's like, well, find 8 more of these things in Echoes. And I'm like, I am not doing Echoes again. I swear to God, I'm not doing it again right now. So there are 8 of those. I assume each of those will come with a little Maya Sundaresh lore. Maybe these are pointing toward the content of the next episode, but the end result is Maya Sundaresh gets away, and she still has the Echo. We didn't even get the Echo back. I do like the idea of us not killing Maya Sundaresh, because as I've said before, the Vex need some sort of actual bad guy who's like a part of their, a collective, or, bossing them around, because they're just this giant hive mind, which is not terribly effective. So Maya Sundaresh gave a voice and a face to the Vex that we have not had. It did not go very well, I will say. This did not convince me that it is possible to write Vex storylines on the level of what we've seen with the other races. I don't think it's there. This did not, even though they were doing the right things, even though they are giving Maya a voice and a face and all that, and giving the Vex some level of free will, it didn't really translate here. Like, the Vex still didn't act any differently other than them saying they have independent will. It was literally just Maya wants to control everyone with Radioria. She controls Saint briefly. There's this brief existential crisis where Saint doesn't think he's the right Saint, and then that's resolved in like a week. Maya goes on this mission to find her wife, which she finds and doesn't care and is just kind of crazy. And then she dies in a cutscene, but she's not really dead, and that's sort of where we are. Nine weeks, although it's really 15 weeks, because there were 6 weeks of gaps, and now we are now there's 3 weeks after this of nothing, and then we will launch the final episode. The next episode, which is about Fallen and Scorn and Crow, and I'm hoping that will be more substantive, because this is the one that I think was definitely developed alongside Final Shape, where it may have not had as many people working on it as some of the future ones. That's usually how it goes with these early post expansion releases. But I didn't really like this episode, which was just a season except longer. Like, there's no real meaningful difference, I would say. There was somewhat more loot, there was somewhat more content, but again, we have to take into consideration that this is 3 4-month things as opposed to 4 3-month things, and on the whole we are probably getting less overall. And then we're going to move into this new double expansion 4 major update model that will be, I think it'll be even less content technically, and that's just where we're heading. If you felt differently about this, let me know. I think the main thing is I'm just disappointed that the last 3 weeks, where we finally are doing stuff with Maya Sundaresh, is just run the exotic quest 3 times, and then there's no fight against her per se. It's a cutscene, and her being a villain is essentially all through voiceover, which I don't think is the most effective. So it just, it kind of ended with a thud, and I was hoping for something, a little bit more than that. But yep, that's that's Echoes. that was the episode. So we'll see how it goes for the next two. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.